So let's get started again. Now, if you are a keen observer, you will notice that things look different. And the reason for that is it's actually a different day. So, it's kind of a long story, but our video ended up getting wrecked by the weather. And I also had to cut it short as well. Like, I literally stopped recording. So we were filming on Saturday. Today is Monday. So again, today is a holiday weekend here in Canada. It's the May long weekend, the Victoria Day weekend, the May 2-4 weekend, whatever permutation that you call it, or whatever name that you call it. So we're back here. You'll notice that it is a sunny day, very different from what it was on Saturday. It's still cold. You can actually see there was a very heavy frost last night, and then the water here is actually frozen. I don't know what the temperature was here, but at home it was -3 when I left. Here it says 2. So got the skull cap on, got the gloves on again. I had my sort of light rain jacket on top. I had to take it off because I'm sort of melting. Really holds the heat in. The wind is coming from the northeast, blowing sort of this way. So it was cool going that way. So I'm hoping going this way, it's going to be a little bit better. So let's fill you in on what happened. So basically, I was able to sort of do 2 videos, right? And so obviously, if you're watching the series, you will see that you saw one, and then the section here at Kelly, and that was it. So going this way, at some point, when I went to go wipe the lens of the camera, I knocked it askew, and so the camera was off and it wasn't recording properly, and so you ended up getting more kind of sky than you did ground. So that was problematic. And then it got to the point, and I'm going to show you that up, further up, where it literally went from misting into like drizzle. And I eventually was like soaked to the bone. I was frozen because it was so windy and cold. It was just absolutely terrible. So, you know, essentially everything got wrecked. So we had to come back here today, and I had to come all the way to here because, again, that's where we had sort of the best footage. So I had to do about 12, just over 12 kilometers, 12.2 kilometers to come here. I rode Luna here, and now she's going to walk back with me while I ride. So, you know, it just seems like it was one thing after the other. When I tried to come yesterday, and redo this section. So here you can see there's a bunch of telegraph poles. When I came to redo this section yesterday, I got up in the morning. I had to get up a little bit earlier than I normally do. Long story. Got everything packed up, got everything ready, and then I just, perchance, I was just like, I better go look, right? Because the forecast was that if it got cold enough and if there was any precipitation in the area, it was going to turn to snow. So I checked the traffic cameras, and there's one at Raith, which is to the east, and there's one at English River that's to the west, and sure enough, it had snowed. And so there was a coating of snow everywhere, in the trees, on the ground, and I'm like, I can't go and record in that. And fortuitously, as I was unloading my bike, I noticed, I guess somehow or another, I had broken a spoke, I guess on Saturday, somewhere, on the rear tire. So I had to bring it in yesterday to get it fixed, and big thank you to the folks at Fresh Air Experience in Thunder Bay. Give them a little shout out for doing the repair and getting me sort of back in action here. So maybe what I'll do is I'll show you that traffic camera, and you can see the snow. I'll show you the one at Raith, and you'll see the snow on the ground. I saw a little bit further to the west, there was a spot where you could still see a little bit of snow. Obviously it's gone away, but it's not particularly warm. Again, the sun is out, but we know that causes some issues. I did pre-record one of the cuts. I wish I would have done the one that's coming up here. Unfortunately, I didn't. And so we recorded it on our way this way, on our way east. And then we'll record it again and we'll use whichever one's the best. And then thankfully I did the recording around Larson and the water tank. I did that on Saturday, so anyway, at least the sun's out and I'm not soaking wet. That was probably the most miserable hike I've been on. I was literally when I took that rain jacket off, because it's just a light rain jacket, it's not meant for anything particularly heavy, it's more like a windbreaker, and I was soaked. There was patches where I was all wet. Not fun. And you know when it's sort of cold and you're wet and you can't warm up? Not particularly awesome. So another section of telegraph poles here. We're going to see more as we head to the west. This is probably the most prolific section here. Basically from just past Linco there, just past the Fort William Paper Company spur, all the way up here. This is like, you're going to see the most, right? See those nice aqua colored CD 145s. Do I have a story for you once we get a little bit further involving telegraph pole and insulators? We'll I'll tell you that story once we get there. So again, you'll see that the vegetation is starting to come out. The grass is starting to come up, which is very unfortunate. I'm not sure if I got this into the first couple of episodes, but so this is the third week in May. Essentially 3 weeks ago at the end of April, there was still snow on the ground. And the first weekend in May I was out of town, so I couldn't come out and do any of the videos. So we did a couple last weekend. We did around Raith, and then we did the previous section from this. So this is all one section, but we had to do it in two parts because it's long. So we did over 11 miles last week, and this one was like 8.5 or something like that. And that hike, it was cold in the morning, and then by the time we finished it was like 28 degrees. The next couple days it was like 28, 29, 30 degrees out here. All of a sudden everything just started popping. All of the leaves started coming out. You can even see the tamaracks. The leaves are out, and then it was just you know, and now it's like crazy cold. We haven't had a cold May long weekend like this in a long time. So it's very unfortunate. And I was supposed to do 2 hikes this weekend. I was supposed to do the next section. And so I'm gonna have to come back next weekend, and hopefully the vegetation's not too bad, because here you can see, look at some of the poplars. See that limey green color where all the leaves are starting to come out. So I'm hoping it's not too bad. All right, so I had to point this out here. I don't know how well you can see because we're shooting back into the sun here, but I was laughing when I was through here on Saturday, right? So you have the stop sign. So obviously logging road here, lots of logging that was happening in this area, and we're just going to be talking about one in a little bit here. So you can see the stop sign. I was kind of chuckling to myself as I blow the stop sign here. So as I mentioned, I did pre-record this. I just recorded this a little while ago, so we'll use whatever version is better. They probably might be very similar to each other. Again, this is the rock cuts are the problematic thing when the sun is out, because the one side you can't see anything, and then the other side is completely washed out because it's too bright. So it's not a particularly big cut, but it's fairly lengthy. And so you can see a little bit of rock work here on the north side and more here on the south. You get some water, Lynn? She's kind of antsy because I rode her in. Usually she walks in. There is a, I don't know if you can notice it here, there is an incline here, and it's brutal. Coming with the dog, trying to go up here, like you can see it's a noticeable climb, and it's got to be about 10-foot height difference. The telegraph pole in here, no insulators of course, and you can see the rock work continues. And here it's a little bit more. Again, so here you see the problem, right? So here it's all kind of dark, and here you got kind of patchy light, and it just makes it hard to see everything, right? When it's cloudy, everything is diffused. Is that a partridge up there, or something's up on the grade farther ahead? So here it sort of becomes a bit more of a cut, and then there's some rock work just up ahead, right where you see the big dark shadow spot there. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a dip here, and then we're climbing again. Yeah, there's a partridge on the grade there. All right, so here you can see some more rock work, especially here on the north side. It's probably got to be 6 feet, just judging off myself here. 6 feet, maybe a little bit more. No, that's a bunny. It's a bunny. Okay, let's pause here for a second. There goes Luna. She goes chasing after the rabbit. Notice with the rabbit, you couldn't see on the camera because it's too far away, but they're in that in-between thing where they're changing their colors. So the body of the rabbit was all brown, but its paws, its legs were still white. So changing camouflage patterns. All right, so let's continue on. You can see this very noticeable incline. So let's see here. GPS says 1568. I don't know how accurate that is. I know on Saturday I kept recalibrating it. Like when I would have a benchmark, I did put some benchmarks on here, and it would constantly go off. So here you can really see kind of that little bit of a limey green tinge as the leaves start to come out. Depends on the species. You can see some poplars have the leaves and others haven't popped yet. Makes it hard to see stuff. There was telegraph poles, I think, in here. You can't see them now. A little warmer going this way, but still cool. Again, I got the gloves on. I got the skull cap. It's not tropical by any stretch of the imagination. You know, you can see a telegraph pole in there. There was one spot here. Oh, here it was. You see all these buckets down here? So this is where the camera was completely skewed, because I was here and I was trying to record that, and the camera was shooting the tree. So I literally had my head down, pointing at those buckets down there, and I got the tree. That's how screwed up the camera was. Hydrex 3858 something or other. I don't know if that's, I'm guessing that is probably some sort of logging lubricant. So again, this grade, after it was abandoned, there's another telegraph pole, was taken over by a logging company, and that's actually how it shows up on the maps. If you look at a map, and it actually has a name for the grade, it says Buchanan Forest Products Private Road. So they had it up until about 2018 or 2019, and they sold it to Wagner, which is an American forest management company. So they don't log, they're a management company. So basically they maintain the land, and they I guess give out timber leases, and in this case you have to pay you have to buy a permit to use the grade. There's another telegraph pole. A little bit of controversy about this. So when this railway line was built, the Ontario government gave the railway company cash subsidies, but they also gave them these big land grants, big blocks of land here. And it passed from one railway company to the next. And I believe in the 1950s, CN sold it to Abitibi, and then it kind of went from one company to the next after that. But there's some pretty big blocks of land. After, if I think of it, I'll show you a map here. There's like blocks 1 to 9, starting back by like south of Raith, and then working all the way up to by Sioux Lookout. And when the grade here was for sale, when it was bought by Wagner, it didn't just include the grade, it included the blocks of land too. And I know there was some controversy because there's another telegraph pole. People wanted the Ontario government to buy it so it would go back and become Crown land, but they didn't. And again, now it's owned by Wagner, so people are a little annoyed because if it was Crown land, you wouldn't need a permit, right? Because it belongs to the people of the province of Ontario, as opposed to a private company. Now, see, again, this is where you get into a little bit of an issue again. So we got a cut, and oh yeah, this is the one that we pre-recorded. Okay, so let's hold up here, and then I'll give you the pre-recorded version, the one we did the other day, and you'll see it much better. Okay, so we're pre-recording this pretty substantial cut here, just in case the sun decides to pop out and it's hard to see anything. So it's not a rock cut, it's just a cutting. It's pretty big. I would imagine it's probably one of the bigger sort of features in this section here. You can see on the north side here, at least 20 feet, if not more. Most of this area has been sort of just flat and sort of swampy. You can see here a little bit better of the height. Yeah, it's got to be over 20 feet, and it's getting pretty substantial on the south side too. And just being a trooper here, we've done 10-11 kilometers. We got to go a bit more, and then she gets to ride. Every time I say something that mildly resembles a question, my watch thinks I'm asking a question. Very frustrating. Becomes steeper here on the north side. It's just been kind of a goofy day today. I hope this is it for the mist, because it was misting before. It was very frustrating. So it starts to widen out over here on this side, and on the south side, and on the north side as well. And so here, the bottom of a telegraph pole over there. So here everything starts to come to an end, and then, yeah, see, it looks like the sky is gonna lighten up here. Here, you can see there's a marker that I put on there. So here we're getting into another feature as the cut comes to an end.